What's up, guys? So, in my opinion, this is a serious problem, La Nuit de l'Homme, and I don't mean that in a good way. But maybe let's first start with some positives. This is an amazing fragrance. Definitely smells expensive, smells high quality. It's gonna be mass appealing, especially women will like this on you. And this is definitely worth your money, right? For a lot of reasons. But this is one of the darlings of the fragrance community, right? Talked about to death. And, it definitely deserves all of that. All the acclaim is well deserved, but at the same time, I got to ask myself, do you really need to get this in 2021? Is this still relevant, or is this still worth your money, or are there better things out there for your money? And I'd say that, in the same way that a lot of people have parted with Jean-Paul Gaultier's La Malle, right? It's time for us to let go of La Nuit de l'Homme as well. Yes, 2009 doesn't seem so old, but it's just that, every time that I think of reaching for this fragrance, there's always something better for the season or for the situation. And we'll get a little bit into that. But first, what do reviewers generally say about this, right? And a lot of you watching probably haven't pulled the trigger yet and bought this. I would say most people have this in their collection already, but if you're looking up La Nuit de l'Homme on YouTube, then you're still on the fence, right? But most of the female reviewers bring this out, take a sniff of it, and they go, oh my God, right? This is heaven, right? This is so good. This is really considered one of the best date fragrances, one of the most cozy, kind of sexy date fragrances that will work for everybody. And that's true, right? But I think the problem with this is that it's super safe, but it's too safe, and that's really the main issue. But to get into the details of that, we'll talk about the smell. So this is, you probably already know, a cardamom and lavender balm. There's not really, citrus or green notes or things to clean it up a bit, to lighten it up or freshen it up. It's a very warm, cozy fragrance. And it also has, a subtle sweetness about it. Not a fruity sweetness, but sweetness that's coming from spice, right? The cardamom. And that makes this sort of, when I think of seasons, it's primarily a fall fragrance for me. Although, of course, you could wear this, anytime, anywhere, and you can't go too wrong because there is some freshness in there. But just that warmth of it, it sort of makes this a perfect fall fragrance. And yet, for some reason, I don't think of it as sort of the optimal winter fragrance. Maybe looking for something with a little more kind of richness or sweetness or boozy notes or things like that. So already right there, thinking of the seasons, it's already pretty narrow, right? We're looking into the slightly colder months. It's not going to work so well, I think, as a signature scent. And especially also, it's not going to work so well as a daytime scent because to me, it's just too creamy, a little too sensual to be like an everyday scent, especially if you're thinking of wearing this to work. So, I've found that there's kind of limited use for this. La Nuit de l'Homme translates to the man of the night, and this really is a nighttime scent, and it's got that dark bottle to reflect that, and it's true, it's just too warm to be a daytime scent. So who do I imagine wearing this fragrance? This, based on its smell, right, based on its scent characteristics, this is a really clean, put together, well-dressed kind of guy, right? Elegant, yes. It smells expensive. You know, this is the smell that you associate with the brand YSL. You know, it's sort of not the most kind of aggressive, masculine kind of guy. This is more that softer, romantic sort of guy, a cozy guy, right? And so this is really like, to me, the Mr. Grey, Christian Grey fragrance. You know, a guy like that, right? Like just, you know, put together, business-like. And so, you know, I mentioned earlier, there's not so much citrus or other things to freshen this up a bit. And so to me, this smells a bit too stuffy, right? And that's also why it's not ideal for the warmer months to me. It smells a bit too stuffy and cozy. And anytime I might reach for this, always seems to be a better alternative. You want something for the fall, winter, you want something warm and cozy, go with this. This is better. Luna Rossa Black, it's more modern, it's more interesting, it's warmer, yet it's more green as well. A little bit spicy and powdery at the same time. You want something versatile, sweet but fresh, right? It's kind of sort of multi-dimensional. Allurum Sport Eau Extreme. Right? This is overall better smell because that orange is so nice in the opening, and then it dries to a tonka, right? You know, I will say La Nuit de l'Homme is probably the smoothest smelling of all those. But again, you know, you should really think about the occasion. If you want something, you know, sweet and sexy, right, to wear once in a while, you know, this is more bold, right? This is more bold. And it doesn't smell as stuffy because it has that added mint, also apple, some fruits. And then finally, you're spending $80 on La Nuit de l'Homme, right? You know, plus minus, because you may find it at discounted or you might not, but it's not one that's super discounted or very, very commonly found at discounters. So for 80 bucks, you also have this option right here. Cedrat Basé, in some ways more masculine with a leather note in the dry down. And then, wow, wow, wow. Like a stronger opening, more punchy, creamy citrus, right? Amazing, right? La Nuit de l'Homme doesn't have that wow factor for me. I agree when you know, smell it like this, you know, you do say, or you on the initial spray, you do say, wow, that's good, right? Wow, that's good. It's so smooth. It's slightly creamy. It's warm. It's sensual. Yet that lavender, you know, kind of makes it a bit more wearable. And so this is really nice, but the wearing experience is different, right? When you wear it, this is a smell that, to me, it's very easy to get tired of. It's like not your everyday go-to scent. It's sort of for the night out, occasional night out, occasional date. So doesn't mean that, you know, everyone should avoid this, right? This will suit a guy who wants to be ultra safe, right? So if that's you, there's nothing wrong with being safe, right? It's part of your personality. You know, if you don't want to risk anything, right, on your date, and you just want to please whoever it is, this is the safest, right, of the bunch. Prada, Luna Rossa Black, or whatever. This is Versace Eros, might be too sweet. This is the safest, right? It just smells nice and classy, and so you will impress. But if you're somebody that likes to stand out, right? This, I mean, you know, everybody's either wearing it or knows it, right? Smelled it for 10 plus years, right? So, you know, I'd go with something else, right? You know, try to branch out a little bit more. It's sort of like the victim of its own success, because if you were the only person wearing this, you know, this would be amazing, right? Same with when Bleu de Chanel came out. You were the only person, it'd be amazing. But then now that it's been talked about over and over again and everybody's bought it already and it's in their collection, it's boring. Even if not everyone had it, the scent profile is not the most interesting. It's so safe, right? And so likable. But like I said, Mr. Grey would wear this. Henry Cavill would wear this. But Matthew McConaughey will not wear this, right? So you see what I'm saying? There's no cool about it, right? This is sort of the opposite of laid back, you know. It's the opposite of cool water. So you think maybe George Clooney might wear this? He might wear green Irish tweed, right? So you see that's the problem with this one, right? But there is a use for it. I think in general, if you want to stand out, right, you should always go for, whatever it is, fragrances or other things, you know, try to get things that punch above their class, right? Or you should try to punch above your class, right? So if you're a teenager, you know, the brand Yves Saint Laurent and, you know, the price tag is not associated with teenagers, right? At least in my opinion, it also shouldn't be, you know, unless you're loaded, right? But this is, you know, you would think this is for somebody who's, you know, started to make a fair bit of money, right? But if you're a teenager and you acquire this, right, you know, again, $60, $70, so it's definitely doable, right? If you're a teenager, you will stand out because this is not associated with like a teenager smell, right? So you're gonna be smelling more elegant than everybody else, right? But once you get into your, you know, mid-20s, late 20s, 30s, when you expect everyone to wear something like this, right? You want to step it up and go with something like Creed, right? And show that you have some, you know, more refined taste, right? Appreciation, you know, and it will smell a class above a designer fragrance like this. So that's really the sort of the way to think, you know, if you're trying to stand out, right? So this is a nice one ultimately to have in your collection, but it's not a must-have for all those reasons, right? There are better alternatives. This has a pretty narrow use, in my opinion, just because it's so warm and more for the night, more for dates. It is work appropriate, but I would prefer things like Chanel Platinum Egoiste, right? Something cleaner, sharper. And so it's a nice one to have, but it's not a must-have, and you know, it's one to add to a collection, but I don't think you need to start with this necessarily just because everyone's hyping it up. You know, it's already 2021, and so, you know, there are a lot more other fragrances also you can try, newer things that have come out. So, you know, I think it's probably because of Jeremy, right, and this being his personal love, right, that you know, he really expanded the fragrance community, right? So because of him, you know, this might have grown but in popularity, but I think we're sort of at the time where you might want to, you know, let go over the obsession of La Nuit de l'Homme, right, and sort of let yourself go a little bit more, explore a little bit more. So, you know, let me know if in the comments, are you guys wearing La Nuit de l'Homme still, or do you think there's a lot of use for it? Let me know. All right, and I'll see you next time.